Karaoke bars should be shut down worldwide. December 10th, 2005, 6:02 p.m., Doug Thompson posted on his blog, or whatever you want to call it, Capitol Hill Blue, the following assertion. Stop throwing the Constitution in my face, it's just a goddamn piece of paper. This is the actual origin for this assertion. Now, to avoid being criticized for saying this very bold statement about the Constitution, he decided to say that he heard it from 3 people who are politicians he didn't name, or he might have, you can look, and that these sources, who are supposed to be politicians that would be recognizable by name, said that they heard it from George W. Bush. Now, when you were a kid and someone walked up to you and said, Larry said, and then they say something really nasty to your face that they'd love to get away with saying to your face and get away with it and not get smacked, and then get you, at the same time, while insulting you to your face, get you to beat up somebody else for it who never had anything to do with it. When you were in grade school and that happened, because it happened, happens to all of us, did you A, figure out someone was insulting you to your face and trying to get you to blame someone else, or B, go to the person who is blamed for it without figuring out that you were just given a razzing by somebody and didn't do anything about it? Because that's what happened. What happened is someone decided to say something nasty to your face that they'd love to be able to get away with and have no consequences for. They attributed it to someone else, so you go pick on someone else. So they got to hurt 2 people at once. This is called playing 2 people against each other, playing both sides against each other. This is done by people who are capable of literally kindergarten-level creativity of harassing and manipulating people. And people love hearing this about people they don't like in the first place, so you all turn off that basic BS detector when you hear somebody say something you don't like hearing, and they trick you into blaming someone else. Pretty simple, isn't it? Takes only a couple of seconds to learn about. Every one of you should have learned this by now. I had this explained to me when I was in 2nd grade. So the next time a kid came up and said, well, I heard Donnie say something about you. And I'm like, what? Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I'm going to go ask Donnie if he said it, and if he reasonably shows me that he didn't, you're going to get in trouble. Because when someone hurts your feelings, you should deal with the person who hurt your feelings, not whoever they want you to blame so they can get away with it. Okay? So Doug Thompson is the source for this on CapitolHillBlue.com. It's archived. He recanted it later, but he claimed that his sources were wrong or some other blast. I think it doesn't matter. He said it. Now, what happens is, when you see this for, I'm sorry, but how about the billionth time, you realize that someone's lying to you, but you want to believe the lie. But that means that you can't complain if it's done to you by someone who's trying to damage your reputation by making up horse crap. That's why you look for the origin source. If it doesn't go any further back than one guy who's a blogger, who's rather notorious for always posting fake stories, we call it fake news these days, humorously, but you blame them. I blame Doug Thompson. I say that this was his assertion unless he names the individuals who did it. He didn't. Never will. Why would he protect politicians who were reporting this? Why would it matter anymore? So anyway, someone today did another layer of this. Okay, my friend, let me give you a test. Now here's the part that's the same thing. It's the same formula. Remember, you should learn how to procedurally dismantle something. When, not if, George W. Bush said the Constitution was nothing more than a goddamn piece of paper, what's your opinion of that? My opinion is not relevant. The origin story is. The report, Bush screamed these words at Republican congressional leaders in November of 2005, was never substantiated by Capitol Hill Blue's website that reported those words while relying on phony sources. The website is a website that never posts anything that's real. Don't quote The Onion about your Halier and your HB yada yada yada. Oh, that's classified. Because I'm going to find out that it was a fake story by The Onion and point it out. And there are people who still want to believe desperately that that video that says Onion in the lower right-hand corner is real. Why? Because They don't give a damn about facts. They give a damn about justifying their preconceived notions and their feelings they came to the table with. But let's take apart your assertion here. When such and such happened. No, it's if. What's your opinion of it? And we reword this. What's your opinion of the story that George W. Bush said something? I'd need to know who the source was. It isn't George W. Bush. And I'd need people to acknowledge that they have to provide it before I even respond to it normally. February 21st, 2011, Doug Thompson, the story's creator and author, and is the person who actually made this assertion publicly, so he's the one who should get flack until he acknowledges that he lied. Literally make him admit he lied. Or make him give you the sources. It doesn't matter if they're good or bad. He posted an article and said he said it's been removed from our database. Well, it hasn't been removed from mine because it's archived. So anyway, when I pointed this out, among other things, all the links will be below in the description. Here's the response I got. It was all over YouTube a long time ago. You could tell it was not made up. It looks like they've even taken it off. There aren't any video or audio recordings because the original assertion was this was somebody repeating a story. It was never an assertion there was a video or audio recording. In fact, the assertion may have also been that it was done in public, but there aren't any other witnesses. I was pushing it hard the several weeks, perhaps 30 days must not have went over too well, huh? Yeah, because it's a lie. You're reposting a lie, and I would say knowingly at this point, because it's easily debunked, because it's a friend of a friend statement, and there aren't any audio, video recordings or pictures, and there was nobody came out afterwards who corroborated it, and it's not that someone has to be willing to say so. George W. Bush, well, let's do it again. Which Bush said the words New World Order? Which Bush said weapons of mass destruction? These are equally dumbfoundingly stupid things to say in public. Sort of like certain people who give interviews and or press conferences and have to walk stuff back, or an entire presidency based on it. Stupid people shouldn't be allowed to post, but they do it anyway. You may have noticed there's an ass ton of these statements openly available on the net of these people saying ridiculous, even worse things. Old people have a duty to die. Who said that? You're going to claim it's Obama? Really? What about Hillary Clinton? The assertions made about her, about how you can't get all the emails back. Of course you can. Even the President of the United States lied, not made a mistake, lied about whether or not those emails were successfully deleted. And why they were deleted. You don't like the answer. That's fine. It doesn't change it. The Earth is not flat. It is round. The universe is probably 13 billion years old, at least. We don't really know, but nobody likes that answer either, because I'm saying we don't really know perfectly the answer to that. We think we know how the universe started, and it's a pretty good guess, but it definitely isn't riding on the back of any turtles or requiring someone to speak the Earth into existence. None of those answers are really satisfying to people. We like just so stories like this. So George Bush said, "Stop throwing the Constitution in my face, it's just a goddamn piece of paper," is also very similar to a line from several movies. "Stop throwing the law books in my face, they're just paper," or "they're just rules, and rules are meant to be broken." This is a formula statement. Stop throwing documentation at me, or stop invoking technicalities. They're just that. This is a formula statement. George W. Bush is not notorious for being good at this kind of stuff. You know that, right? Ford might have been more clumsy. But hey, W did make some jokes once in a while, right? It's kind of fun. And then I love this. You said they've taken it down, and then another posting by the same person. "I seen and heard him say it quite clearly several times, several networks." No, you didn't. And no, there isn't any, and never has been, a video of somebody going on Sally Jesse Raphael or whatever saying, "We take money from our investors and invest it in the Church of Satan." That literally didn't happen either. People have heard this story over and over again and have imagined, have gone ahead and kind of made it kind of a canon in their existence. They've They've kind of reverse authenticated everything to where they say they saw it, but that for some reason you don't remember the show, because you don't. I clearly remember Phil Donahue's show having a particular person on it at one time or another, but that's just it. It's something mundane like that. But no, going on a national television show and having it actually published publicly by audio and video after going through editing and posting, a company that was being demonized by their competitor would have allowed that to ever air. Okay, well, there's a room full of people who heard it. No human being has ever come forward and said, I was in the audience. They always say they see it on TV, and they can't get the show right. If you're at the set for The Price is Right, you know you've been there, and you also have a ticket. You can prove it. And I would have hung onto the ticket so I could prove that I heard that on, let's say, Phil Donahue or Oprah or whatever you guys think. How many of you actually witnessed a certain actor jumping up and down on a couch in front of Oprah Winfrey? What year was it? Don't look it up. Do you remember it clearly enough to know the year at least? And what actor? Most of us know which one, but there's actually another one too. That's the one I remember. So anyway, no, you didn't clearly hear or see any of this, because the statement originally was that I heard it from a friend of a friend. Because the person's trying to avoid being thrown in jail for lying. If you knowingly say something about someone that is not true, demonstratively untrue statement, you can actually be taken to court for it. Because this person no longer thought that it was valuable for his cause and might get in the way of whatever he wanted, he took it down because it made him look bad. Or maybe because it made his preferred party look bad. And then this response. I understand what you're saying. No, you don't. If I was them, I would have scrubbed it too. Nobody scrubbed anything. This is the internet. And this is the real world. Well, we have Mandela effects or Mandela effects or whatever. The reason I'm bringing that up, and I'm not trying to be insulting, is there was a lady and her husband that were at the Bellagio, and they were traumatized by lots and lots of people running into the building, and they heard the words, they're shooting at us. But they never heard shots. There weren't any shots at Bellagio, because there weren't. It's that simple. Full stop. She was traumatized. She has post-traumatic stress syndrome. You can have post-traumatic stress syndrome from a situation where everybody's panicking. It's called hysteria. It's the wrong word for it. It's called mass panic when you want to be technically correct. Or a stampede. When I was younger, the next door neighbor house burned down. One of the people in the building jumped out of a window, through a plate glass window, and shredded herself head to toe. Walked into the house, walked into the kitchen, got bandaged up, glass pulled out of the skin, and then taken away to the hospital. I was so traumatized by seeing a person shredded head to toe that it scared the hell out of me. And internalizing it, because I couldn't see their face because I couldn't recognize them, my head filled in the gap and put in my sister-in-law's face for some reason, and I didn't know that it was an older lady. She eventually came back, and I don't remember this, but it did happen. The lady who went through the window, who was an old lady, tough old lady, showed up and showed me all the scars and said, see, they don't hurt anymore. I'm not a monster. Her face was slashed all over, and all I can remember was, I want to grow up to be that damn tough. I got my wish, unfortunately. I didn't want. I really should have chose better. And one time I mentioned it, and my sister-in-law felt very offended, and I said that, and she understood. Because she was tough, too. I had not been able to handle the trauma and pasted her face over the other person's because hers wasn't attached anymore. Human beings' memories are usually associative, not rote. You don't record things in your head like that. You make connections. Nobody scrubbed the story except the person who originally told the lie, Doug Thompson. There aren't any audio and video recordings because the assertion originally was that with 3 unidentified congressmen or whatever saw him. You can read the article below. It's perpetually recorded. The only reason the thing got taken down is for the same reason Donald Trump stopped being a birther, because he needed something and it was getting in his way, so he recanted, only after it meant nothing.